Presented by Verizon, the #1 network in Milwaukee. On 1250 AM and 105.7 FM The Fan. Powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. And on the free Odyssey app.
Good morning and welcome in. This is the Mason Crosby Show, presented by Verizon, the #1 network in Milwaukee. My name is Mitch Nelles, a.k.a. Thunder. The Brewers lose game number 1 of a 3-game set against the Pittsburgh Pirates. Drew Holiday's on his way back to Portland. Who saw that coming? And the NBA draft is tomorrow night. And the leading scorer in all the land of the Green Bay Packers. You talk about Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers and Donald Driver and Don Hudson and Amon Green and...
How are these introductions getting even longer? I've been here almost a year now.
He is the leading scorer in Green Bay Packers history. He is Mason Crosby.
Yes, and I am here, and I'm on a roll now, boys. It's going... What is this, 6 days in a row? Whoo, buddy.
So it feels like it.
I know, and it's the first time I've seen the Brewers lose since I've been back. So
that's a good point.
Yeah, kind of hit. Man, I just did not see that one coming. I did not. I mean, watching Pittsburgh, the last score was in the 6th inning, and then just could not get this thing done. So disappointed in that, and we'll run that down. Man, I got some questions about Chad Patrick. You're
not alone. You're not alone.
I think that's something that needs to be talked about. And as Woodruff's coming back, what's his future look like as well, right?
Well, and Tommy's really mad at me because I had
Tommy's mad.
Well, I'm the one who had the dream about Chad Patrick.
Yeah. So
it is your fault. Was he on your board? Was he on Thunder Watch?
He wasn't even on Thunder Watch. I just woke up before his start the day before he started against the Cubs last week. And I said, Chad Patrick's going to get rocked, and he might be done. And then he's lost. He lost that game, but he had one bad pitch. He gave up a 3-run homer. Besides that, he pitched fine. Yeah. I actually think Chad Patrick, somehow in his head, thinks he's a strikeout pitcher now. Look at his last 4 starts. He's struck out like 8, 6, 7, and 9. Like he's striking guys out. Chad Patrick did not come up as a strikeout pitcher. And so I think I don't know what's going on with him, but I want whoever the psychologist who talked to John Smoltz 100 years ago, I want that sports psychologist to talk to Chad Patrick and just remind him who he is.
Well, I think you need to talk to him. I mean, you kind of put all of this bad stuff on him. So I think when you go to the ballpark on Wednesday, you need to find a time to just go apologize.
Oh, you should bring some sage. You got to bring some sage to the ballpark because
some other incenses.
What Mitch is failing to mention
is like a major league situation.
This is
what he is
Pedro
failing
Serrano.
to mention is that he had so much fear when he told me that he ruined Chad Patrick. Yeah, I mean, this was not a dream. This was a vision from Mitch Thunder Nelles.
It's
he
true.
Came up and he said,
realize.
Tommy, I ruined, I had a dream that Chad Patrick's
ruined it.
He's done.
But Tommy's right. It was more than a dream. It was I just felt some seismic shift on Earth. Kind of like last night when our lights flickered, when there was a power outage and Spectrum was down for a couple hours. We love you, Spectrum. But it was it felt more than a dream. And now it's and listen, he's not pitching horribly.
No.
He's not one inning, 8 runs.
Just can't, just cannot put together a full game.
Yeah. This was a Pittsburgh Pirates offense that was the worst offense in the National League going into yesterday and the second worst offense in Major League Baseball as well. It seemed like this was an opportunity for Chad Patrick to get right. This was an opportunity for Chad Patrick to try new things out, and he really didn't. He just kept doing what he always does.
Same old.
Very reliant on the cutter, very reliant on his fastball and sinker, and the off-speed stuff just comes if it does.
But maybe that's just who he is. And Drew Wagner was telling us, maybe now that the league is seeing him for a second and third time, maybe this is who Chad Patrick is. Where he's, right. I mean, even in the first inning last night, he was, he gave up 1 run on 2 hits, In the second inning, he gave up 2 hits. In the third inning, he gave up a hit. I mean, in the fourth inning, he gave up 2 runs and 2 hits.
Do you think
he wasn't clean at all?
Need to pull him after that fourth?
I do think
because he went 5, right? So
yes.
I mean, like that. I mean,
I think that's a great point too. You just brought up there, Mason, because who in Major League Baseball is so notorious?
Said you have to go to 5 innings, right?
But also, Pat Murphy pulls his guys early all the time.
Yes,
all the time he pulls the guys early. Yeah. Sometimes too early. And then it comes into situations that are completely different with Chad Patrick, and it's he's got to learn to pitch in those moments. Why?
So this is like over teaching, right? Like it's an overthinking where it's like, this is learning. We're learning stuff. So we're working through this. But yeah, look at previous games against the Twins in that series. I mean, there were only 3 pitchers yesterday. Like, what was it? Like the last game against the Twins, there were I think 8 guys that came in and pitched.
Well, but that might be part of it too. Is that like guys needed a rest?
But that's crazy. Like
guys, that, and so he really wanted Chad Patrick to get an extra inning or 2 because he had used 8 guys the day before.
Well, and let's look at a positive spin here. Is okay. No, I know. Like, you got to be the positive guy.
Yeah.
They get hit here against a pretty bad Pittsburgh Pirates team. But that's something that can shock you back to life. They've been rolling so hard and they've been playing so well. Like sometimes something like that, you're just like, oh, that's a bad taste. Like we do not like that. It's a bad team. We're going to win the next 2. It's going to be all right. Let's move forward. Luckily in baseball, you can rinse that really fast, right? Like it's going to happen this afternoon. So I think those types of things sometimes can be okay, right?
I think there's something to that. And also just the overall concept as we talk about every day here on the Mason Crosby Show, presented by Verizon, the #1 network in Milwaukee, is that like, listen, in baseball, as much as you're a favorite in a game and you should win, like that's how baseball works. Like you're not going to win every game you're a favorite in. You're not going to lose every game that you're an underdog in. And sometimes you just run up. I mean, listen, Braxton Ashcraft, who had, who's a reliever,
such a
goes
child.
3 innings, exactly, 1 hit, 2 walks in 3 innings, and dominated the Brewers through his 3 innings. And then the Brewers bats got going after that. Christian Yelich continues to rake. I don't know if you saw this or not, Mason, but Bryce Terang is up to 8.
I wasn't going to bring it up.
Oh,
and Yelly on 7?
Yelly's at 49 now.
I mean, we might have a double tap here. What if they go simultaneously?
How much time do we have?
The 2 and the 22?
At the same time?
Yeah.
Just
you get
3 twos.
1 on the inside of the hip.
2.
It would be back-to-back days, right? Bryce Terang is 1 game behind Yelich, right?
Based on days off and stuff
like
that.
I want the 2 like a low back tattoo.
I know.
You do. We're not. Yeah, I'm with Tommy on that. We're skipping the lower back tattoo.
No, I mean that's for the ladies. You're just like,
yes, exactly.
Hike that shirt up.
LLCT, ladies love cool Tommy.
Yep.
I do think that what you have to be concerned about with this, though, is you are now going up into a game on Wednesday that no one can stop talking about. Right. It is Jacob Misiorowski versus Paul Skeens, and with Paul Skeens' performance in the past, you're okay with a loss to Paul Skeens no matter what, it feels like, because he is one of the best pitchers in Major League Baseball. You are not expecting to lose by any means.
The overwhelming favorite to win the Cy Young in the National League at this point.
He's the best pitcher in the game. No. And if you're going to win a series against Pittsburgh and you have to face Paul Skeens, you just win the first 2 games. Do whatever it takes to win the first 2 games. And we're not talking about also here the Milwaukee Brewers.
We got the Miz.
The Milwaukee Brewers absolutely blew that game yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
In the 9th, there's 0 reason they should not have tied the game in the 9th inning.
Right. I'm not saying they blew it to win it, but they absolutely should have tied that game. And first of all, I can't believe that Bauer shot didn't go.
Oh, dude, you've never seen me jump so high off a couch, man.
I was on the couch and I said to Nora, I said to Little Rumble, I said, he's going to hit a home run on the next pitch. And literally that happens. And she's like, how did you know that?
You were powerful.
No, I'm only powerful.
Stop. You got to be careful.
No, I'm only powerful because Tommy is my guru. And I want a shirt that says Tommy is my guru. Because Tommy has convinced me that Jake Bauers is the all-powerful. And he was 3 feet away last night from really being the all-powerful.
Was that your mom or brothers? Had to be one of your family members that wanted to make Tammy shirts. So we need to bring that back, and I want an Tammy shirt.
Yes.
And
Tammy is my guru.
And a Tommy guru, yeah.
Oh, my gosh, that'd be amazing.
I still think that the Milwaukee Brewers...
Tommy.
Yes, so many nicknames. I just think that, Pat Murphy can get into a case of where he over-manages a lot of baseball games, and we saw that with Craig Counsell as well, too. So it's probably a part of the philosophy. And
So did he undermanage last night then? Is that what you're saying? You want him to overmanage?
No, I think overmanaging was not taking Chad Patrick out of the game. That was a move where you're going to say, hey, he needs to learn it.
So you think this
was
more a philosophical overmanage instead of an acting overmanaging, where it's like he's actually making a lot of changes? This one was a philosophical where he's like, all right, he's got to work through some stuff. We want to see how he can battle through this, instead of it being an actual all right, this is how I need to manage this. We got to pull him in the 4th or in the 3rd, even just give him 3 and let's move on from this game.
I think that's a fair point. Yeah, I think that is what I'm going for here. Is that it is sometimes you got to step in as the manager, and this was him not stepping in, but really still showing he's teaching a lesson during this, right? Or he is trying to get a message across to Chad Patrick during the performance as well. And then,
if you want to keep your spot, you got to earn it.
Correct.
And that's what he was saying to him last night. Yeah. Reminder real quick, we are now on YouTube, so go to @TheFanMilwaukee on YouTube. Make sure you watch us, that's all I can say about that. I mean, if you're not watching us, you're losing out on life right now.
Check us out.
Yeah. But I mean, I think part of it is he's saying to Chad Patrick, Woodruff's coming.
Yeah.
At some point, Cortez is coming off the disabled list. We don't know if we're stretching out Hall or Ashby, but one of them could be stretched out at some point. You need to prove it. We still have Henderson at AAA, who's mowing people down left and right.
Exactly.
You got to prove it. And listen,
I'm all for that.
He's not proving it.
No, I'm all for it, but it's kind of, at this point, it's okay. So, what's kind of that next move? It's, what do you say in that situation? Obviously, as a manager, you just say, hey, we should have won that game. That's a game that we expect to win. We rolled with our 3 guys in the bullpen, and we had a chance to win it late. We didn't get it done. Let's move on to tomorrow.
Well, and talking about
baseball, I got to imagine as a manager, in baseball, it's not easier, but it is easier in a sense to just move on to the next one because you're playing the next day. In football, that kind of situation would have it lingers for that, for a couple days. You go into those meetings Monday, you watch the film, and you just are cringing about overcoaching or undercoaching or bad philosophy, things like that. And the players feel it. They know what's going on. You got to have the right person, right voice in that room saying all right, that's on me. We're trying some things. We're trying to figure this thing out middle of the season. Let's get this thing rolling this afternoon. And in a football sense, for this next game, let's not overthink this week. Let's move into those processes and get this thing back on track.
Completely agree. And in the 9th inning, the move to have Caleb Durbin steal a base, it looks like it's more of a fault of Caleb Durbin, absolutely, because he had the base stolen, and then he overslides the base and gets tagged out on the way back. And
which Bryce Train just did this weekend in Minnesota as well.
Yes. So I understand that it was a smart play, but again, we were just having this conversation for Pack-A-Day Radio, myself and Charlie Usen, and the Green Bay Packers and the Milwaukee Brewers had a very similar offseason approach where it was, we're going to rely on a lot of young guys and we're going to run it back with a lot of the same team that we've had. And it's not going to be a lot of free agent, flashy offseason acquisitions or trades of guys that you want to see come to Milwaukee, but we're rather going to rely on the development of players rather than the acquisition of players. And the Milwaukee Brewers need to realize that there's going to be growing pains then during those stretches, and the Packers have seen that as well too, where some are going to hit on the development and some are not going to hit on the development. And relying on all the young guys like you do, the Milwaukee Brewers, these are games that now get thrown away, it feels like, because of inexperience.
Yeah, but then there are other games they win that they have no right winning.
I think that's why you have to have a coach like that, right? You have to have a coach that's willing to philosophically, do those teaching moments. Like, you have to have the right, person in place leading these teams. I was literally going to pose that question. Like, have traditionally the three major sports teams in Wisconsin had more of those types of coaches than a player's coach and just more of a not just kind of cutting them loose, less like teaching moment type of coaches than the opposite. So whenever I look back, like, do you think like Budenholzer, he was probably the more player friendly coach, right? When they won a championship.
Yeah.
Do you think he was overbearing trying to teach? Like,
no.
I don't know.
I think in the NBA, it's the hardest sport to really have an impact as a head coach.
Right. Your players are going to determine what happens.
It's so star-driven and talent-based, and, I can't even pronounce the last name of OKC's head coach, and they just won the NBA Finals.
Dagunagaba.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So if he was someone who I really thought was playing such a key factor to the OKC team, I probably would know how to say his last name.
They're just a better team.
And no disrespect to you, Mark, but I'm just saying that he is not someone you think of or is synonymous with OKC and their success this year as far as an outsider perspective.
Right,
it's all SGA, it's all Jalen Williams and Chet Holmgren, right? These are the guys that they built this foundation, this young foundation around, and that's what the Milwaukee Brewers are going to try to do. Absolutely, and they have a great young foundation. Jackson Churio is still the youngest player in Major League Baseball. Across any other team, he's the youngest player in the league. They have Bryce Terang, very young. Sal Frelick, very young. They just brought up their top pitching prospect, who they hope to be a stud in the league one day. But I also, as a fan of the team, would love to see them be the most competitive day in and day out and quit looking ahead for 20 years every 10 years.
Like, I think that's the concern, right?
Yes.
The concern, and that's a year in, year out thing where it's just like, are we always planning for the future? Or are we trying to win today?
Right.
And that's where I talk about the balance of having veterans and that youthful development, right? The best teams that I was ever on, it was always, we had a good core of veteran guys. When we won it, I was a young guy at that time, but we had veteran players that were leading the way and kind of shaping what the expectation was. And I think that's something that the Brewers could tap into. You go and you get somebody that's won a World Series. You get somebody, like, you just go find a guy that, like, is going to get in that clubhouse and just show it a different rhythm to how to operate on a daily basis. Yelich can do that, but he's always been there, right? Like, it becomes this process where you sometimes need a little bit of a different voice in that player space, in that locker room, to say, like, we got just a little shift. We just have a little different mindset. It's not a huge overhaul, but we got to shift a little bit.
Absolutely. He is Mason Crosby. Mitch Nelles, Tommy Wirtz with you. The Mason Crosby Show presented by Verizon. 414-677-1250 is the Nicolay Law Fan Talk and Text line. 414-677-1250. Let's go to Ram in Milwaukee. Ram, you are on the Mason Crosby Show.
Hey, thanks for taking my call. And I hear Mason in the background. 2 questions.
I hear, and that's funny because I hear Mason in the forefront.
Yeah,
Mason
I'm here now.
Right, Mason is him.
Yeah, him. I got one question for Mason, and I always try to have some intriguing questions. When did you know that you was an NFL draft pick? At what moment in your career? And then secondly, with the Packers, you were there for a long time. What was the symmetry and the balance between the players and management? Because you were with one team for a while, and you don't see that a lot with a lot of players.
Yeah.
In football, in football, I think they still are longer than basketball. But what was it like? Like, when did you know that you was a draft pick? I think fans would like to know that. Because you got kids out here just playing high school. They listen to your show and stuff like that. I have some of my ball players listen to your show.
Nice. Well, I appreciate that, Ram.
Yeah, but I think some people I would like to know. I've asked Gary and Leroy stuff like that, and then sometimes it makes you sit back like, wow, what did happen? And then like I said, I love the Packers. I've been a Packer fan for I'm 60 now, so it's been a long time. And I was in the bar. It was great years.
Ram, you're breaking up a little bit, so we're going to let Mason get to the questions that you asked him.
Yeah, really appreciate you, Ram. Second time here in the last week or so. So yeah, just keep calling in. I love questions like that. So it's funny you said that because I'm watching actually this morning. Big 12 Studios posted something on X from a big kick I had in Colorado against Colorado
55-yarder,
State.
baby.
Yeah,
which is what it's really like a 46-yarder in regular.
Oh yeah, because it was at altitude. Man, I almost hit that thing in the bleachers.
You did. You blasted it.
Yeah. So yeah, that was probably one of the years. So that was my sophomore year, and it was
in college.
In college. Whenever I realized
not
that,
high schoolers.
No. Obviously, I talk. If you ask my mom, she'd be like, Mason was chasing the NFL and playing football as a professional since I was like a little kid, in which a lot of kids do. But the realization probably came sophomore year of college, where it was like, all right, like I've worked really hard. I'm hitting the ball well. This thing seems like something I can chase down, and I'm getting some attention around it as well. And again, opportunity sometimes breeds that attention. So it's like if I didn't have the opportunity to hit a 55-yarder in this game, if like say our offense was like uber gifted at scoring touchdowns and I didn't have a lot of chances, who knows what my path would have been. But I had a lot of opportunities, hit a lot of big kicks, in my middle years in college, and it really, propelled me to the spotlight to be able to get drafted. So I would say sophomore year of college was whenever I really felt like it was, that moment of this is a real thing that I can chase down and have a chance to get drafted into the NFL. And but it doesn't, there are moments there where you have to always kind of keep rechecking yourself. Like Ram, like I love that question, and it's awesome that you're coaching young kids because the success can also, it can bring apathy. It can bring a little bit of a pause on what got you there, right? So just
you stop working hard because you're so convinced that you've made it.
Exactly. Yeah, it's just like, all right, this is it. Like I'm here.
I'm good.
Like people are paying
good.
attention. Yeah. So you have to always like check into yourself. Honestly, check in with like the people around you, and that's why I say the balance of a veteran young group, and especially in professional sports, is so important because you have to ask those older guys questions, and then I always talk about, I had to tap into the energy of the young guys. Like whenever I became a 10-year plus vet, I loved like getting to know some of the younger players and feeling that energy and that youthfulness coming into that moment, right? Because you can't forget what that felt like. You get complacent. You kind of like lean on like, all right, I've just done this a million times. You can never do that if you want to continue and have longevity and have success.
This is the Mason Crosby Show, powered by Verizon, the #1 network in Milwaukee. I've got a number of questions to branch off of what you just talked about and our previous conversation with Tommy and what's going on with the Brewers, and looking ahead to the NBA draft tomorrow night. So I want some of those draft questions and some of those thoughts. Some of what's going on with the Brewers as well, and with Skeens and Mizorowski on the horizon. So we've got a ton to get to here on the Mason Crosby Show. 414-677-1250 is the Nicolay Law Fan talk and text line. Are you concerned that the Brewers dropped Game 1 to Pittsburgh, especially with Skeens coming in on Wednesday? Does that worry you? We're going to keep that conversation going and look ahead to the NBA draft. Nick Osen from 24/7 Sports, our Wisconsin Badgers reporter. We're going to talk to him about the lawsuit going on right now between the Badgers and University of Miami. And, of course, get into some NIL talk there as well. He is Mason Crosby. I'm Mitch Nelles, a.k.a. Thunder. We are the Mason Crosby Show, presented by Verizon. We are live from the 1250 AM and 105.7 FM, the Fan Studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook.
Oh, yeah.
It's a Metallica Tuesday here on the Mason Crosby Show, presented by Verizon, the number one network in Milwaukee. I'm Mitch Nelles, a.k.a. Thunder. Mason Crosby is here. NBA draft tomorrow night, 7 o'clock. The Bucks have pick number 47. I believe there are only 59 picks tomorrow. Somebody got their pick taken away. I can't remember who. We could probably
snatched away.
Yeah. Wasn't it Philly? Doesn't that sound right?
That sounds right.
I'll look it up.
For tampering. I think that's right.
Maybe
Paul George or something like that.
Tampering.
Yep. So we'll get into that. But so much to break down from that first segment. Brewers losing game 1 of 3 against the Pittsburgh Pirates. Paul Skeens coming to town. Mason Crosby making 55-yard kicks like he's like brushing his teeth. And it's like getting out of bed. I get out of bed in the morning and I make 55-yard kicks. No big deal.
Yeah, I just kick something across the room.
So, Mason, one of the things that I want to ask you about is, so tomorrow, we talked about it all day yesterday. We're going to talk about it all day today. We're going to talk about it all day tomorrow. It's Skeens and Mizorowski tomorrow.
Yeah.
The Brewers still have to play today. And we talk about it all the time in football. That you know, you got the Lions in 2 weeks. And you're playing the Panthers this week. And is it a what's the word it's called? What's it called? When it's one of those, it's that game that you overlook.
It's trap game?
Yeah, trap game. And Andrew Haney is the pitcher for Pittsburgh today. And he's not terrible. Like he's a decent pitcher.
Oh, his
record's not great, but his ERA is fine. Like he's a decent major league pitcher. I know Freddie's on the mound for the Brewers.
I like the mindset.
How do the Brewers not look past today? Like, how do they, I'm sure they're already amped up for tomorrow, but how do they make sure in a 160, not a 16-game season, 17-game season, a 162-game season where, listen, there are going to be games that are thrown away on both ends by you or by your opponents. Like, there are going to be games you're just not up for. How do you make sure you're up for this one?
This is like, I can't lump all baseball players into this, but I think the baseball player mindset is just kind of like you're just rolling along. Like I don't think any of the players in that clubhouse are thinking about Wednesday and Paul Skeens, pitching, and what that matchup's going to look like. Miz is over there thinking about Wednesday.
Right,
yeah,
right. And he should be. The starting pitcher should
be.
Nobody
else is thinking about that.
Okay.
Like, that's for us to talk about. That's for the fans to, kind of get geared up for. And you'll just hope that the showing is better today so that you can feel confident going into Wednesday that this team is ready to face a world-class pitcher like Skeens. So I don't think the locker room is doing anything but the same thing they've done every other day this year because they play every day, 162 games. And in an NFL locker room, like, we would never think about, oh man, we got Detroit after this. Like, you got whoever coming down the line.
Yeah.
It might creep in your mind, and you might circle it on your calendar this time of year. But once that season is rolling, you are locked in week in and week out, because the second you hesitate, the second you think about something past what your focus needs to be, stuff will creep in, and you lose sight of like what is most important in that moment. So, not saying that it hasn't happened, but good teams and teams that handle their business definitely don't look ahead.
414-677-1250 is the Nicolay Law Fan Talk and Text line. We are live on YouTube at The Fan Milwaukee. That's also our Facebook and Twitter. Mason's at Crosby Kicks 2. I'm at Thunder MKE. Brewers lose game 1, NBA draft, and an NBA trade that I woke up to. So I don't know if it was late last night or early this morning. Drew Holiday sent back to Portland. Drew Holiday was traded for Dame Lillard from the Bucks to the Blazers, then flipped from the Blazers to the Celtics. The Celtics have now traded Drew Holiday back to the Blazers for Anthony Simmons. And one of the things that popped up to me about this trade, Mason, is something you said in the first segment, where you're really, when you're talking to Pat Murphy and you're talking to Christian Yelich and you're figuring out what's going on, are you win now or are you win later?
Yeah.
And how do you balance the two? And I think as we look at what the Celtics are doing and what we're not sure what the Bucks are going to do or not, the Celtics know they don't have Jason Tatum next year. And so they know while Drew Holiday is a very good player, they needed more scoring.
Yeah.
And what they did
he's a great
is they
defensive player.
right. He's a great defensive player, and he's a great cog in a great team.
For sure.
But he's not a guy you can count on scoring from. Like, he's not going to go out there and average 20 a game. He's not going to shoot well when he's a volume shooter. We all know that because he was right on the edge of that with the Bucks. And then with the Celtics, he got to pick and choose his shots, and he was a much better shooter.
For sure.
Now they go get I said Simmons. I think it's Simons, actually. Anthony Simons. They got Anthony Simons, who's a 20-plus point. The past 2 years, he's been over 20 years. This year, he was down to 19 as the team was a little more well-rounded. But he's a 20, so the Celtics going for, trying to stay relevant. Again, as we talked about yesterday, with the East kind of wide open now with all the injuries. So what do the, if you're the
Celtics
Bucks,
are making moves. Yeah,
right.
They're trying to, they're searching to try to shore up that team.
Yeah,
they know Tatum's out, as the Bucks know that Dame's out, right? Yep. And it's like, but we're just not seeing any of those moves going right now out of Milwaukee. I think, and when I looked at that trade from the Dame Lillard with Drew Holiday and all, like, you got to think the Trailblazers have done a fantastic job of maximizing what all they got out of this, right?
I think you're right.
All the picks, the players, they send Drew out to the Celtics and then get him back with some more leverage. They were able to, send some players out that maybe they were just ready to move on. Drew Holiday, again, a veteran guy that will come into this younger locker room that they played great defense. I guess they were like the third best defensive
I saw
team
that, yep.
through the second half of the season. So
it's like we read the same article, Mason.
Yeah, I think
it's like we're both doing our research.
Yeah, we just did a little. I'm always better when I do. Just put in a little effort. Just give a little work. But
to your point, I think of a guy like Scoot Henderson, who was a high, number 2 overall draft pick a couple years ago, who hasn't really achieved anything.
Yeah, you said that name. I'm like, what?
Yeah, exactly. Right. Like, do you have any, like, most, even like, especially casual NBA fans or non-NBA haven't even heard of him. I wonder if their thought process is they bring a veteran like Drew Holiday in. Can he mentor a guy like Scoot Henderson to get him to be where he's relevant, where they're a better team? I mean, you don't draft a guy 2 overall because you think he's a stiff.
For sure.
You draft him because you think he's got some talent, but maybe they just didn't have the right people in place to help him or to teach him, and maybe Drew's that guy.
Well, again, you get rid of an Anthony Simons. Is it Simons? Is
Simons. Yep.
So you get rid of him, just to maybe, give a pathway for Scoot Henderson to step into a bigger role. Yeah, you have a leader that's going to automatically step in, and Drew Holiday come in and just kind of shore up, processes, how this team will work, how to do those little things that a veteran does that has allowed him to play 17 seasons, which is fantastic.
It is. That's crazy.
And again, he's still playing at a very high level.
Yeah, for sure.
So I think that's good.
Yeah. I do wonder how Bucks fans are going to react. How many Bucks fans out there today are like, oh, the Bucks should have gotten Drew back. Well, I don't know. I don't know if the Bucks.
I don't think that would have been the right move for this Bucks team. And I love watching Drew Holiday. I loved when he was a Buck, and I followed him as a Celtic just to see what how he was doing and playing. So I think he's just one of those solid players that just shows up day in and day out, plays tough, good defense, and finds that role on any team he's going to be on. So, I think for the Trailblazers, again, what a good,
smart. If they
good
keep him,
move.
assuming they keep him.
3-year process, right? Of how we want to build something and try to be competitive here in the future. So, I think that was awesome. But I do want to talk about this draft tomorrow a little bit.
Okay.
Tell me how the Bucks could move into the first round, because I know they have they don't have first round pick till 31, right? And
they've got pick 47.
So they have 47.
Yeah.
But, okay.
And that's their only pick.
But you want them to move.
The New York Knicks are the team that had a second round pick taken away from them for Tampa.
Oh, okay.
And so I guess do you want the Bucks to trade it to the first round? Mason Crosby and fans out there, Nikolai Lofan talking text line 414-677-1250. Do you want the Bucks to make a move in the NBA draft tomorrow night? Do you want a first round pick? Do you want to see them be relevant on draft night knowing that they gave away 100 picks when they traded for Drew. Then they gave away 100 more picks when they traded Drew, so they have none of their picks until 2031 exactly. in the first round. Like, do you want the Bucks? And I'll give my take after you kind of.
Well, that's what I was saying. Yeah, I'm like, okay,
I don't.
So
well, I don't.
I don't think it doesn't make sense. Unless who's the guy? Like, who are they going to go and get?
Right. Unless they're in love with somebody at 18. Who's there?
Who's there, right? It's like, and again, you're talking about Portland Trailblazers. They go number 2 overall. Scoot Henderson, who hasn't done anything really, right? So
even a top 5 guy doesn't guarantee anything.
There's no guarantee that you're going to go into that first round and find a core player right away that is going to help this team in the immediate future. Sure. I think at 47 you're going to find a guy that could be a core player and find his way into the rotation, but you just are not going to find that guy unless you literally somehow can get that first overall pick and get Cooper Flack. I mean, that's kind of in my opinion in this draft, like right now, where it's like unless you have a superstar in the making like Cooper Flag, you just go and you try to make a move to get an established player. I don't think they need to make a splash. I don't think they need to go and get somebody that is going to change the trajectory of this franchise for years to come. Like with like they tried to do with Dame, like they try like all these moves they've done in recent history. I think they just need some really good core players, which they did some of that. And we saw the fruits of that late in the season. It's like Trent Green and obviously Kuzma didn't quite work out, but who knows what that looks like. So I think there's got to be a
Trent Green and Porter Jr. All Porter, 3 of them.
Yeah,
yep. Mm-hmm.
And Porter Jr. had so I think those guys just giving them more time and more experience and working together is going to be a positive anyways, right? So
yes. It should be, assuming Trent's a free agent, but by all accounts, there's mutual
you try to
interest
get him
there.
back. Yeah, exactly.
414-677-1250. 414-677-1250. Do you have any interest in the Bucks really making a move to get back into the first round? Drew Holiday's traded. What do the Bucks need to do to stay relevant? And I'm kind of with Mason. Like, I don't want old guys. But I want veterans who've proven that they can play in the NBA, like guys like Gary Trent Jr. and Kevin Porter Jr., where it's like we know they can contribute, and it's not like even if 47 is going to be a project. And I love that they just showed Giannis and Thanasis, who are in Greece right now, and I think that who was it? Austin. It was Ajax, Andre Jackson Jr., and it was what's the new guy's name? The draft pick from last year.
I don't know who they were hanging out with.
Yeah, but they like actually flew to Greece and are working out with the Antetokounmpo brothers, and working on their game and getting better. And now there's rumors coming out that
Giannis asked you to come to Greece. You're like, okay, yeah, say less. Like,
right.
What do you want? What do you want
talking
me
about
to do?
AJ Johnson?
No, AJ Johnson's on Washington.
Tyler Smith is the one that's on Washington, I thought.
No, AJ Johnson's the one on Washington. So Tyler Smith, and now there's rumors coming out that Tyler Smith is going to be counted on to be in the rotation next year. Like they're going to need him to bulk up, to get stronger and to be able to score and rebound, and that he might be in the mix. No, AJ Johnson's the one that everybody's mad about because he's actually going to be a superstar.
Yep, Tyler Smith was.
So what do you think? Like, have they done anything? Or have you heard anything about conversations with like Brooke Lopez? I
think Brooke's gone.
He's gone.
I'd be shocked if Brooke came back.
So then we still have Sims, but like who's
no, Sims is a free agent.
Sims a free agent. Yeah. Oh my gosh! So like who's the big man? So the Bucks need a big man.
Bucks need a big, and Tyler Smith is in that conversation.
Yeah,
he's a bigger dude, but he's not. It's.
So those pieces are important, and I think you just need a dominant ball handler that's going to at least draw attention and get the ball to Giannis.
Yes and no, because the Bucks and Giannis, the thought process right now is that they want Giannis to be the ball dominant player. Is that in that 8-game winning streak in April, they won so much because Giannis was handling the ball. And that even as good as Dame is, there are still people who think that Giannis can't play with a ball-dominant point guard. Like, he needs to be the one with the ball in his hands.
So that just like a better setup so that so Giannis can be freed up to just dominate anywhere he is, right? Like just have the ball in his hands as much as possible,
so that he can run things.
So do you think like a more athletic big would be like a good?
I do,
good,
but I worry I
him?
worry about a guy like Jericho Sims because he's so bankrupt offensively.
Yeah,
and so that's why I think so. Tyler Smith is a 6'9". He's 6'9". He's 220. When he was drafted last year, he was 224. I don't know what he is now, and not great numbers by any means. But even like when he was in the G League Ignite, which he was drafted out of, he was averaging 13 points and 5 rebounds. And so I don't know if he's the guy who's the big that they hope can be next to Giannis.
The complimentary.
But he's certainly athletic enough to be that type of guy who's going to move. He's going to slash. He's going to fly to the hoop. He's going to rebound. He can make an outside shot here and there. Listen, the roster needs a lot of work. Is Bobby, are Bobby and Pat going to be a part of this roster? We have no idea. They're both under contract, but that doesn't mean they're on the team.
For sure.
I think as time goes on and as this offseason, as we see what other trades in the NBA happen between now and the draft tomorrow night, I think that'll give us a better idea at what route the Bucks are going to take.
All right, well, let's go to break. Let's talk about, let's maybe shift gears before we get to Nick Osen at the 10 o'clock hour. Maybe do a little bit of this NFC North in our Packers, and we have not listened to the Caleb Williams stuff, so I kind of want to dive in that just a little bit.
Let's do that.
Before we shift to my favorite topic, which I think honestly, I'm thinking NIL might be kind of dead. So that's a thought I'm having right now. The name and image likeness era.
It's already over.
Changing.
It's already over.
Well, it's changing. It's definitely changed.
It's definitely,
because it's like now it actually maybe it's actually what it's supposed to be. It's going to be money directly for using your name, image, likeness, not just boosters and people putting money into a fund and paying players a contract, which now they are going to be.
I'll pull a Lee Corso and I'll say not so fast, my friend. I think it's all still a broken situation and the money's just the wild, wild west.
Oh, it's getting crazy. The Boise State stuff. Like check out some of this NIL stuff before we get Nick at 10 o'clock because we're going to dive a little bit deeper into it.
This is the Mason Crosby Show presented by Verizon, the number one network in Milwaukee. What did Caleb Williams say? Next.
Probably at Green Bay. I mean, they suck, but it was after the game, after we won at Lambeau, 1-0 at Lambeau right now. So obviously trying to do the Lambeau leap, and we actually tried to jump in the crowd where our fans were, and they start throwing everything at you, they push you off, and the Lambeau leap, it's a real leap. It's not a little baby jump. You actually have to high jump basically, and then they're pushing you, mushing your face. I mean, that was probably that. And then I had one today. I was actually in a car, and I got ran down for 6 blocks in the car. Yeah, that was fun.
Wow.
Take that, Caleb Williams.
It must suck to suck, Caleb.
Yeah, the Lambeau leap's for real football players, not for little baby bears.
Right, do we have baby crying sound effects?
Little baby bears.
Where's our baby crying sound effect?
We just turned your mic on, Mitch.
Oh, nice.
Only real football players can do Lambeau leaps. You know how that goes.
I mean, and we've seen tons of players from other teams do Lambeau leaps. You find your fans and you do it. If he's saying I found my fans, but like the Packers fans were still there pushing me down, well then you didn't jump in the right place, you idiot. Like what a clown show of epic proportion. Caleb Williams couldn't be stupider.
I love it.
Like this is unbelievable.
Get him.
God, what a clown show. God.
And I love
seriously, you Gen Z, Gen A, whatever you are, whiny little baby. This is ridiculous. Like find the bear. I mean, we've seen Vikings players do it. We've seen Bears players do it. We've probably seen Lions play. Like we've seen other fans. You find your pocket of fans and you jump. So if he found he obviously didn't find the right pocket of Bears fans. God, what a baby.
I love it. Crushing Bears on the Mason Crosby Show, presented by Verizon, the #1 network in Milwaukee. Hey, come for it. And we are live at 12:50 a.m. and 105.7 FM, the Fan Studios. And, hey, listen, I have a call to action to Packers fans to protect Lambeau Field. And I am so proud that they are in his head, living rent-free in Caleb Williams' head. Even with a win, him feeling all high and mighty that they won a game in Lambeau Field.
Packers fans don't like
the fact that they threw stuff at him, pushed him out of the stands. Like, I love that. Even if they find that Bears fan on the front row, Packers fans, unite, come down, throw them out of the stands. Do not let the opposing team jump into our stands. I love that. I'm proud of you. All those Packers fans that were involved in that. If you threw a beer that had beer left in it, I will buy you a beer next time I come to a game. Just let me know so I can take good care of you, because that's what we need more of there at Lambeau Field.
I love that. That is fantastic, and that's the way it should be. And I mean, I guess he's playing to his audience.
Sure.
But like, what? I mean, it's so whiny.
So whiny.
Yeah. I don't even. Yeah. I don't even know. I don't even know where to go to that. But I will agree, Mason. Like to what you said. Like living rent free in his mind. Like what? Like. I mean,
now he's going to be thinking about it.
Yeah.
He's going to be hoping that he scores and he can try another one next year. And I just hope, I hope we shut him out and he doesn't score. And then they just, the Bears still suck chance just go straight at him. And, all the stuff that comes along with that. But if he happens to try to do a Lambeau leap, like, I just cannot wait for that moment when he gets rejected out of the stands.
Yeah. I would absolutely love to see if he tried.
Maybe he just needs to go to the yellow fence and climb up. If he can't, because he seemed like it was a little daunting to even get up in the stands. So maybe just get your athleticism up a little bit.
I mean, isn't he supposed to be an athlete?
Well, I mean, yeah.
What a baby!
Lambeau leaps are created for Packers players, not for anyone else. So.
By the way, Tammy just fixed something again.
Well, I saw you lost video for a moment.
Right, and then I got it back because Tommy TK stepped up and brought the muscle and the brawn and the smarts and the know-how. Like, he is like the all-star MVP of epic proportion right now.
I mean, he does it all. He's taken over for Pack-A-Day radio show.
Yeah, exactly.
Before we come on.
Andy
has to deal with all the stuff. So, applaud Packers fans for throwing Caleb Williams out of the stands. Applaud Tammy, doing all of the work around the station. Just keep crushing it. Keep crushing it.
He really is. So in the 10 o'clock hour, we got Nick Austin. Is it Austin? Osen? I always get this wrong, and you always correct me, Tommy, and I always get it
I think
wrong.
it's Osen.
Osen? All right.
Yeah.
Nick Osen from 24/7 Sports. We're going to talk some Badgers recruiting, some NIL. We're going to talk this lawsuit with Miami. I had a question I wanted to throw out to you, Mason, also going back to the NBA draft because it is tomorrow, and we don't have you on the show tomorrow. But, we all know who Cooper Flagg is, right?
Yes.
I don't know
who he is.
I don't know anyone else in the NBA draft this year. I don't think casual basketball fans have, unless they went to the school you cheer for, I don't think anybody's heard of any of these guys who are projected to go in the top 10. I mean, we all know who Con Knippel is.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Who's supposed to go 7th or 8th or 9th or whatever he ends up going. But, Ace, the only reason I know who Ace Bailey is because he's not going. So I want to get into that in the 10 o'clock hour. How bad is it for college basketball and pro basketball that we have a draft and we don't know any of these people? And we're not sports fans. We're sports fans.
Yeah.
But we haven't heard of any of these guys.
But is this, I mean, you know how my mind goes, it goes right to the NIL transfer portal, all of those things. Is there just not this established Cooper Flagg at every school? Right. Where I feel in past, in the history of it, basketball, that there was a guy, there was a player at every powerful, best school in the country had been there, had been recruited, had stayed there, had
stayed there, right?
Yeah.
So let's get
even
into
if it
that.
was 2 years,
Yep.
and then they came and they were known and they came into the NBA draft.
Yep. So let's get there in the 10 o'clock hour. Let's not get too deep into that right now, but but I want to get into that after Nick Osen. Nick Osen from 24/7 Sports, our Badgers insider, coming up next here on the Mason Crosby Show, presented by Verizon, the #1 network in Milwaukee. By the way, for those of you keeping track at home, it's 80 degrees in Hales Corners. High of 82 today. Feels like 84. Low of 62. Possible some rain showers this morning. Some more higher potential for some thunderstorms this early evening. So make sure you hold up your metal bat while you're playing softball. No, just kidding. You're all adults. Make better decisions.
Be safe out there.
It's the Mason Crosby Show. This is the Mason Crosby Show, presented by Verizon, like a big voice lady just said. My name is Mitch Nelles, a.k.a. Thunder, and he is here, the kicker, Mason Crosby, just nailing 55-yarders against Colorado State, and he would do it again. He could do it today.
Happened.
Right.
It's easy in that high altitude, right? Like, I mean,
it's easier. But you could do it in like Death Valley right now. You in negative.
I wouldn't want to though.
No, who would? It's probably 7,000 degrees there. Although, like I said, it's only 80 today. It's not 95 in southeastern Wisconsin. So we'll take that.
Take me back to Wisconsin. Let's go.
No doubt. Joining us on the YouTube feed. That's right. We are now on YouTube at The Fan Milwaukee and here on the radio. One of our Wisconsin Badgers insiders, 24/7 Sports, Nick Osen. Nick is here. Nick, how are you?
Guys, I'm doing great.
I see you talking, but I don't hear you. And Tommy's doing something right now. So
we got Tommy working.
Yep.
Hey, this is our first guest with the live video feed. So we're working out a few kinks, But it's good to see you, Nick.
We'll figure that out. Nick is talking. He's listening. Test 1, 2, 3. Nope. All right, well, we'll figure it out.
Yeah, well, we'll start talking. So, we're going to talk to Nick, as soon as we get this sorted out about what's going on there with the UW. The university is suing the University of Miami over the freshman defensive back Xavier Lucas.
Yes, and I think
and the tampering stuff.
Yeah, let's see if this works now. Nick, you there?
Can you guys hear me?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
We gotcha.
Yep, we can hear you.
Perfect.
Thank you so much for jumping on. And as Mason was just talking about, we know your beat is more the recruiting beat than the legal beat. You're not a lawyer, but I assume you are keeping track of some of the things going on. The University of Wisconsin has filed a lawsuit last Friday claiming that Miami broke the law by tampering with a Badgers player in a first-of-its-kind legal attempt to enforce the terms of a financial contract between a football player and his school. It's freshman defensive back Xavier Lucas. Lucas left Wisconsin and enrolled in Miami in January after saying the Badger staff refused to enter his name in the transfer portal in December. Nick, what do you know about this situation? Is this is just like bizarre on all counts, is it not?
Yeah, guys, like you said, I like how you led into this with kind of a first of its kind, right? It's a little bit newer to things, and obviously, something that's a little bit unprecedented. Now, I would say I'm not on the legal beat, like you said, Thunder, but this is something that we were kind of even a little bit ahead of the curve, I would say, back in December, right, when things were really bubbling and, he was trying to kind of get into the portal. I remember myself and my colleagues, we were talking on the boards, and we were kind of hearing a buzz that it was potentially about a future rev share. And now, obviously, more things have kind of come out about that. Now, what I would say is I've spoken with some people more so back in the winter when this was kind of coming up, but people that I trust. Essentially, I don't know how it's all going to go down, but knowing really the smart minds and serious professional minds that are involved in this on Wisconsin's end, look, I don't think they'd be kind of going through this process and really all this trouble if they weren't quite confident with some of their evidence and kind of discovery. So from my understanding, I think as long as things get to that point, there are going to be, whether it's some messages or obviously breaches of contracts or things of that nature that, look definitely in favor of Wisconsin and the Badgers program at this point, guys.
Nice. So you're definitely on the side that the Badgers have a really good case to go
get him, Bucky. Let's go. Legal.
What does that look like if the Badgers win this case? Is it all financially driven, or does Xavier Lucas have to come back to the Badgers?
They can't force that, can they?
Is it just a financial situation?
Yeah, and so that's something that I've been trying to kind of get a little bit further into, guys, the last couple weeks. Obviously during some busy recruiting times as well. I don't think this is a move to, hey, get Xavier Lucas back here. I don't kind of read that as, like you said, Thunder. I don't see kind of anyone trying to force their hands in terms of that. But I do think it is to make a statement. Hey, there's a lot of craziness going on in this game of college football, guys, as we know right now, not a lot of things can be kind of tracked and policed, but like if there was a clear breach of contract and then kind of a shift in, okay, you were all set with us 3 days ago, and now, there's kind of this change where either someone's talking to you or someone's coming to you in person when you're back home in Florida, like that's not going to fly. And so I think it's a little bit less about the specific player, though a really good player and someone that the Badgers helped develop, of course, early on. But I think it's more about the state of the game. And I would just trust kind of those, like I said, really smart, whether political or just legal minds kind of handling this business in Madison in favor of Wisconsin.
Yeah, so we got Nick Osen, 24/7 Sports, on the Mason Crosby Show, talking about the Badgers versus Miami, not on the football field, but in the courtroom. So for me, it does feel like, okay, so it was all in the universities and NCAA's kind of favor prior to NIL and giving players rights to go and get, make some money for their name, image, and likeness. And now, once they implemented that, then it became the Wild West, and it became all in the players' favor, in a sense. They could jump ship. They could go in the transfer portal. It was like, so now, obviously, this new ruling has come out. It looks like they're trying to create some balance. What do you see the Badgers doing, with this new, $20.5 million, for basically a cap that they can spend, to pay players? And, where do you see NIL going for, specifically for the Badgers, in this kind of future of what contracts are going to be in college sports?
Yeah, Mason, man, I think that's a really good question. I don't think it's any surprise, guys, that I think that the Big Ten and the SEC are going to be in pretty encouraging spots with kind of this new shift. I think that's something that has been talked about a lot because of just the revenue that those basically loaded power conferences bring in, right? So I think that is going to be beneficial to a school like Wisconsin, not just football, but like as we know and talked about briefly this spring, the hoops side. There are plenty of other great sports here, like women's volleyball, women's hoops, I think is going to be on the rise, all these spots. But in terms of football, I think that this is going to basically create a little bit more balance. It's still not going to be perfect, right? Because I was reading something recently that like Ohio State's going to get that rev share, and they will still have all the businesses and things with NIL to add more, from what I understood. So I just feel like there's going to be at least the base of the playing field is going to be a little bit more level. And what is fortunate, even 2-3 years ago, guys, I don't think I would have believed that these basically academic institutions would be like directly paying players. I don't think I would have believed it at the time.
For sure.
But what I think is really good, because as we all know, we've been involved in sports. Some of us played at the highest level, Mason, but as we know, there are things that are like, of course, much bigger and more important to people to kind of get by than sports sometimes. So I think what is a real positive is it's not just on the fans and these local businesses and kind of people and collectives to get this money for the players. It is now coming directly from a spot that has plenty of money, players can be taken care of, and then essentially everything else is gravy.
Yeah, there's something, too, that I found fascinating, and we dove into this probably about a month ago, and Boise State is on the cusp of doing something that we were talking about, where this is a private equity group. Like, a group is going to give an influx of $500 million potentially into that program. Like, at what point do you see that being more of the deal that goes on, where, in a sense, like a whole group, like buying and owning a sports franchise, ends up overseeing or giving funds directly to an athletic department, where it is not just purely driven by the university and what the revenue they bring in, but somebody looks at it as an investable piece where they are putting money in and, in a sense, running that program from the finance side.
Yeah, you mentioned Mason, Boise State. I think that BYU essentially does some of this BYU, in some levels.
Yeah, their basketball program, right? Like, I mean, they went and got some players.
Yeah, like, honestly, on a crazy level. So while it's a little bit hard for me to kind of jump that far right now, like, if programs are doing it on top of the rev share, then I think the spots that are the most serious about athletics are going to have some levels of private equity too. Because as much as I really don't like that aspect, because I really like kind of the purity and sanctity of the game.
I agree.
Like if you wanna stay alive in this business, though, you have to keep adapting and adjusting. So it bums me out not that players are getting money. I do think that they should be represented well in some ways. I love the initial ideas of NIL and even one-time transfers. But the fact that, I was so excited to cover college sports, and now it is turning into almost at times, guys, more professional than professional sports.
Yeah.
Some of this stuff.
There's more nuance to it, for sure.
And craziness.
It's
and
tough.
chaos. Like, contracts don't mean anything. Like, at least in pro sports, like if in the NBA, if a player demands to be traded or Trey Hendrickson demands to be traded, like there's a process that goes through. In college, if you want to transfer, you just transfer. And then you transfer again. And then like you take and then you take the NIL money and then you give some of it back when it's so we don't know what we don't know, I think is what we're learning in the world of college sports.
Yeah, so it's also too like, what does that look like? Mitch said it, the contract situation. So now universities have, I think the number we saw was like $20.5 million to disperse, and it's going to be revenue shared, and it's going to be 75% for football or whatever, however they break it down. Do those contracts then are they 4-year deals? Like if you come in as a freshman, is it a 4-year deal? And then does the university now have to make decisions on players? Like, are they going to release a player if his performance isn't, or their performance, men's and women's sports, are not up to par for what you're paying them? Like, so is that piece going to come into the equation now?
Yeah, Mason. As crazy as that again sounds, yes. Like not yes to the first part, but in terms of cutting and adjusting contracts. You're already seeing some of that going on around college football in terms of getting to that roster cap, right? Or the potential 105, which is, again, just unbelievable, and it's going to be sad not to see as many walk-ons and great stories and things like that. But in terms of the contracts, from my understanding, I think that there are going to be a lot of 2-year deals, I think, for players early on. And then obviously there's adjustment to get pay bumps and shifted contracts and things. It's unbelievable. But I do a ton of work in recruiting, and guys, more high school recruits than you would think have agents. And it's crazy. It's unbelievable, but that is where we are sitting right now.
Nick Osen, 24/7 Sports, our Wisconsin insider. I want to switch gears just for a second, Mason. I know you want to give. You could do NIL for 7 hours.
I do love it.
And one day, so Nick, I actually believe this. We love the Mason Crosby show here, and we love that Mason is on the air with us every day. I think one day Mason is going to be the NIL commissioner for not the NCAA. The NCAA won't exist anymore. But whatever the new organization comes up, Mason is already becoming an expert in this stuff, has strong opinions, but is also looking out for the best of our kids and our schools. And I think we need somebody like Mason who's really in charge of this stuff, running it, who's got the ear of the athletic directors, who's a former athlete, professionally and collegiate, and can really get things done, as opposed to whoever these knuckleheads who are doing things now who don't know what they're doing. So Mason, give us 2 hours every day. Do that the rest of the day.
Yeah. Just do it. Just a side gig.
Yeah, exactly.
Just running the most complicated financial sports program in the history of the world.
It's even okay if this is your side gig and that's your main thing, but keep this your side gig. But Nick, I just wanted to get into as a Badger fan and as a Badger football fan, man, Luke Fickell stinks and the football program stinks. And what's gonna is there any light at the end of the tunnel? Is recruiting any better? Is anything gonna happen, or am I just gonna be sad for the rest of my life?
Man, Thunder, I think that there's definitely going to be some light.
Okay,
I think you guys know me a little bit well enough from hoops that I'm an optimist with things, but I will say, guys, I don't mean to go, full defender on either side, but I've seen it with my own eyes here these last 2 years. Things haven't been perfect for sure, and these guys involved in the program, of course, would say that they're not happy or accepting of what happened, especially last year. but there were a lot of changes that needed to be made. I think primarily in the recruiting aspect as well as Thunder, really the roster, man. I mean, there have been a few stars still around, but like some of the things that I've seen, again, with these players or, just certain things in terms of culture that needed to be shifted, it really did need to be done. And so just in terms of, where we can kind of go further, I think this year is going to be tough in terms of the schedule. That schedule's not doing them any favors. Right. However, in terms of just sheer quality of the game and things going forward, I think you're going to see a positive shift specifically offensively. I think you're going to see Thunder, if you're a Badgers fan, a lot more what we've kind of become used to. And then next year, as long as they handle business to an extent this year, at least getting back to that bowl game, right? Maybe picking up a marquee win, getting to around 7 wins. Then next year, I think things open up a little bit. And no question, recruiting, while it hasn't been perfect at all times this cycle, it is a little bit better right now.
Nice. Hey, way to get Mitch off the ledge there.
Yeah,
appreciate you for that, Nick.
Well, and I got to follow up just on the specifically in-state recruiting, because we have seen some in-state guys leave the state recently. Is there a focus at all on working on keeping some of that homegrown talent really at home?
Yeah, there is absolutely a focus. I've been talking about this a lot, actually, and I understand it, especially really because, I love the in-state aspect, the Midwest aspect, and kind of things going forward. But sometimes I think the best players are just in other spots. It has not been perfect. I'm not saying that some good talent in the state has gone elsewhere sometimes that they were maybe going for, but Thunder, I would say follow the class of 2027 really, really closely. That is the best Wisconsin class in the state that I have seen, obviously in my years doing this, but I've heard probably in at least 5 or 6 years. I think there's going to be a major focus on keeping some of those guys, especially along the offensive line.
I like that. Yeah, get some of those big offensive linemen back.
Yeah. You love those guys,
in those Badgers jerseys.
Yes,
yeah, exactly. So we have Nick Osen, 24/7 Sports on the Mason Crosby Show. Check him out. He, just been a good friend of the show. And on that front, because I have some questions about football, but I do want to talk about basketball for a moment, and just kind of some of the holes that they need to fill, especially on that men's basketball front. But I do also want to talk about how you're feeling about the new women's basketball coach, and what some hopes can be there. But what holes are they looking to, or have they already filled for this men's basketball program, and how that team might look here coming up for this next season?
Yeah, guys, I actually think it's looking really good. I think if I had a chance, of course, you maybe want another perimeter. I'm sorry, not perimeter. Kind of post defender. Maybe like a rim runner, somebody like that type. But otherwise, I mean, this roster, scoring wise, guys, is absolutely loaded. I think that there are a lot of options, especially around the perimeter in the backcourt. You've got Nolan Winter back. You added Austin Rapp. I'm really intrigued. I mean, I remember in the spring we talked about expectations. I think that there are going to be high expectations this season, and frankly, I think that there should be, because I think that this roster is in a really, really good place, guys.
I love that. Yeah, what do you think? What do you think about the new coach, the new women's basketball coach, and what can we expect for this women's basketball program coming up here this year and into the future? Do you have some optimism heading into the future there?
Yeah, I think from what I've heard, she's really instilled some more good energy, and I think a little bit of shifting of the culture there, guys. So I think this year is still going to be a balance. I think the team is still going to be kind of on the come up a little bit, but one or two of the portal recruiting wins that Coach Robin Pinkton was able to get there, and just kind of bringing somebody back, a couple high school athletes as well. I'm hopeful, and I am optimistic that she will be the coach to kind of bring the Badgers back into at least fighting for NCAA tourney berth.
We need it. There's no reason the Badgers shouldn't be in NCAA tournament contention on the women's side of things. Yeah,
yep,
every year.
I agree.
Yep.
Let me ask you something, because when we ran this down about a month ago, when the news came out of the ruling I guess maybe it was a little longer than that, but the ruling with the changes to NCAA and the NIL and the universities being able to pay players, there was these stories about, super conferences being built and, what that's going to look like in the future, like NCAA might not exist. And we were just like, gosh, are the Badgers, are they going to be a viable option? Will they be in this conversation? And we were kind of surprised because, Tommy, correct me if I'm wrong, they were like ninth to 11th, somewhere in that time, that frame of the most revenue for their athletic department.
Yes, their athletic department was the top 15 for sure.
Top 15?
Yeah, top 15 for sure. I think it was 11th though. When on the it was the On3 article we looked at the time.
The On3, yeah. So in your opinion, I mean, if everything, these teams, these major universities that are making a ton of money and they're seeing that money kind of shared and going out, and they're just like, all right, we're going to form our own super league. Do you feel like the Badgers are a viable option to be, involved in that conversation?
Without question. I really do. I think that the revenue obviously speaks for itself, like you guys mentioned, but also, fan support here is still really, really, really good. Even, when there has been like a tough year here and there. Now, I think it is always going to be an adjustment with kind of some of the prices and things going up, and obviously the focus on rev share. There's always going to be kind of maybe a top tier of like 6 to 8, 6 to 9 schools that I think would have been ahead of Wisconsin there, Mason. But otherwise, there are not many better balances of women's sports, men's sports, beautiful city, great education than the Badgers have to offer. And that's why I think that they will always be relevant as long as kind of they're sticking to, a lot of what has made them successful.
I love that. We got Nick Osen, 24/7 Sports on the Mason Crosby Show. So where are we headed now? I mean, what's who are the players on this Badgers roster? And again, from what I saw, Fickle, if I saw correctly, he was talking about maybe making some adjustments to the air raid offense. That he was like, the air raid offense as it stands and how it's traditionally been played might not be a viable option for our program or for programs in general. So who on this roster is going to, be kind of the target of these big paydays that this new system is going to bring?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think that guys I'm just thinking kind of on this current team. Obviously, the quarterbacks, as long as they're performing up to where they should be, they will be key focuses. I think Dylan Jones and Darian Dupree at running back are going to be really strong options. Vinny Anthony is somebody that I believe could be a pro at wide receiver, so I think he will be well taken care of with things. And then defensively, I'll tell you guys, I don't even have to name names because it's just such a premier position. Really, the defensive line. I think if you're really, really making an impact, I think those guys will be really, really well taken care of. And then you're just looking at kind of guys that come in from the high school ranks and truly make an impact, Mason. Obviously, some of those higher recruiting guys, like high 4-stars, hopefully we see some 5-stars in the future, they will be kind of premium paydays. But otherwise, what I do love about Wisconsin, and I think they deserve a lot of credit, is they do really try to take care of their own in terms of performers as well as retention.
Awesome. Well, Nick, hey, man, really appreciate you. I don't know if Mitch has anything else, but I appreciate you jumping on and running this down. Honestly, okay, I was about to let you go, but I have one more question.
I love it.
And I'm going to talk about a little bit.
This is Mason's brain, by the way, Nick.
And the extra points,
Yeah, I love it.
I guess I have so much in this NIL space, and that is actually another question that I have is, do the Badgers, have they put someone in place like Andrew Luck for Stanford, which they must have kind of seen the writing on the wall. Some of these programs putting Lombardo there at North Carolina, like general managers in place to run this. You almost have to structure it now like a professional sports program where you have a cap person and you have a general manager that is in charge of recruiting and overseeing all these things. Have the Badgers put anyone in place for that position? I mean, I'm not saying I'm throwing my hat in the ring, but it's Mitch is proposing that maybe I should.
I just think you're really smart, Mason, and you really care about it, and like your heart and brain are both in the right place. place where like so many people are like trying to figure out how they can get rich, you're actually like you actually care about the people and want to protect the people who need protecting.
Well, I want the universities and like those programs to last and be protected, and I want the players to get their fair share, but also do it the right way for sure, and have those protections in place so it's balanced and everybody gets what is coming to them. So is there anyone in place there?
Yeah, guys, they've got a couple, Mason. There's somebody that's kind of primarily the overseer in terms of like behind the scenes work, financials, and things like that. That's the GM Marcus Sedberry, who came from within the UW athletic department. I think is doing a really nice job. And then they also have still the director of recruiting and director of player personnel within kind of that recruiting department. So I would say they're staying on kind of that front line and staying ahead of those things really whenever that they can. But Mason, I will say I always like coming on your show, but it was cool to hear kind of how passionate you are about this stuff as well. And I'm always up for talking about it and getting more into depth as we get a little bit closer to great fall and football season too.
Heck yeah. Nick Osen, 24/7 Sports, good friend of the show. I really appreciate you jumping on. And, as we get kind of ramping up towards this football season, we'll get you back on and talk about the excitement and the energy coming towards Badgers football and, what that means for this great state of Wisconsin. So thanks a lot, Nick.
I can't wait, guys. Thank you so much, Mason and Thunder. Appreciate it. See you, Tommy.
Yeah, that's Nick Osen. We'll definitely talk to him as we get closer to football season and training camp and all that good stuff as well. And then, of course, if there'll be breaking news like with this legal case or with NIL or exactly. Just more chaos in general. Like whether it's breaking news or not, like the chaos is not done. The chaos is here. And is here to stay for a while at least.
Yeah, and I'm all for a little chaos, but I definitely would love to see it settle out where all of a sudden everybody is just like, okay, we're taking a deep breath, we're figuring out what's best for the longevity of these programs, the sustainability of just having, honestly, for these athletes, I think this isn't sustainable for young athletes.
No.
To continue just this chaotic approach to their future in sports. So I just hope that we can find a balance where everybody can be satisfied. No one's gonna obviously I say satisfied. We live in a world where nobody's going to be fully satisfied, right. But at least some sort of balance where everybody gets a little piece of the pie and can chase after great things.
Wade versus Diener is back for year 3. Join basketball stars Dwayne Wade and Travis Diener this Friday for the Champions for Literacy celebration as they make an impact in Milwaukee and at Marquette. Tickets are on sale at wadeversusdiener.givesmart.com. That's wadevsdiener.givesmart.com. Going to be a blast on Friday evening. He's Mason Crosby. I'm Mitch Nelles. We are the Mason Crosby Show, presented by Verizon, the #1 network in Milwaukee. Some Con Knipple rumors, and who are these guys? Who, as we look at the NBA draft, I feel like I'm gonna take like guys who are in the top 10 projected picks, and I'm gonna take 10 people who perform in the Australian Philharmonic. And I'm going to say, Mason, is this a top 10 potential pick or somebody in the Australian Philharmonic? Because that's as random as we can get in terms of who these guys are.
All right, I got to do some studying.
Exactly, of the Australian Philharmonic.
Exactly.
More of the Mason Crosby Show next.
Yeah. Hit it.
All right, so I told you I had a poker game Sunday night, right?
Yes, you did.
So my buddy was
How'd it
at we'll talk about that in a second.
Okay.
It's a Mason Crosby show presented by Verizon. So my buddy was at a baseball tournament all weekend with his son, but his son's, I don't know if his son's hurt right now or he didn't play in it, but he had to be there with the team. And so my buddy's in the hotel, whatever, and in the hotel lobby they've ESPN the Ocho on, I
love that.
And you know what he was watching? He was watching the World Championships of air guitar.
No way.
I gotta think that "Money for Nothing" by Dire Straits has got to be one of the
think
top.
That's the best.
It's one of the great intros. Now it ends pretty quickly, but that intro is one of the greatest guitar intros of any song in the history of Earth.
I love it.
And so that just now, if you're watching on our YouTube channel, we thank you to the hundreds and hundreds of people who are watching, who've already logged into the Fan Milwaukee on YouTube and are watching us. They got to see me do some really epic air guitar.
Without hearing it, by the way.
Oh, what do you mean? They can't hear our bump music?
No, that's why you have to play it out where you have to play it out now, because we don't want copyright on YouTube.
So it doesn't work on stack? It only works on hotkeys?
Well, no, the music was playing over the air. Anyone listening on the radio heard what song was playing, but on YouTube they did not hear it. So everyone on video just saw you.
But they'll hear it. They'll hear it if I play it.
Acapella air guitar right there.
Will they play it if I play it on hotkeys, or they won't hear it at all?
No, they would, but don't do that. Yes.
Well, but I was doing. All right, I'm confused.
You got it.
Keep
doing what you're doing.
Do I
doing
play music
correct.
on stack or on hotkeys?
Stack.
Okay. If I play it on hotkeys, will it go to YouTube?
Yes.
But we don't want that because then we get sued.
Correct.
By
everyone.
Okay. What about other radio stations that we know that are playing music illegally? Should we report them?
Oh gosh.
I mean,
we're going to Karen this up.
If we're doing everything right, shouldn't people who are doing things wrong suffer the repercussions for their actions?
Job. Yeah, let somebody else do it.
All right.
The powers that be.
All right. Mason Crosby.
I'm just interested in managing all of NIL and
which is
handling all of that. I don't want to deal with the others.
That is where I want
that piece of things. Yeah.
All right. Colin Murray Boyles, basketball player or harpist?
That sounds like a harpist.
Yes, it does. He is a forward from South Carolina. He is right now potentially the 13th in terms of talent. He is number 13 on.
So you went
on the
13.
big board.
I mean, we're not even like top 10 right now.
No.
Okay.
Noah Asenge.
Basketball
is a 6'10" forward out of France. Yes, number 9. He's number 9.
That sounded
Let's see. All right. So, do you know Dylan Harper and Ace Bailey are the two guys from Rutgers?
The Rutgers.
Ace Bailey's the guy who won't work out for anybody.
Yes. Yeah.
So the rumor is is he not good, or does he have a handshake deal with a team already? So he's not working out for anybody because he's planning on being picked by this team, by whatever unknown team this is that has already told him they're going to pick him.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So you think there's just some insider?
And how does Rutgers
insider information?
How does Rutgers have 2 of the top 3 players in the draft? And what did what was Rutgers' record last year? 6-50? They're not good.
They pay players. Oh no, well that was Maryland. Maryland was the one.
Yeah. Maryland was football. Yeah, but Rutgers did have 2 very highly talented players. Dylan Harper and Ace Bailey are going to be 2 top 5 picks that they paid.
So why was Rutgers terrible?
Well.
And
that's interesting.
So I never, they're in the Big Ten, and I don't remember, I didn't watch Rutgers play the Badgers because Rutgers stinks, and I think they only played once last year. They didn't play twice.
It's like a Mississippi State situation when they had all those first rounders and just such a loaded team, and they
never did well.
They just kind of stunk. Yeah.
Igor Demon. I want to call him Demon. It might be Demon, but Igor is the 11th ranked player, a guard out of BYU.
Yeah,
Igor with an E, not an I. An E-G-O-R. You don't see that too often.
Igor Demon. That's definitely what he needs
to do. So anyway, Cooper Flagg, Dylan Harper, Ace Bailey, VJ Edgecombe from Baylor, Trey Johnson from Texas, Con Kneppel we all know because he's from literally 10 minutes away. Kaman Malawak, Jeremiah Fears, whose brother plays at Michigan State. He was at Oklahoma. Okay. Noah Asenge, Kasparas Jakusionis, Igor Demon, Carter Bryant, Colin Murray Boyles, Derek Queen. Derek Queen actually made a name for himself in the NCAA tournament and is kind of a weird, awkward player that might be horrible in the NBA because he can't shoot and is slow. But he somehow was bigger. He was big enough in college
Can't
to be
shoot
good.
and is slow.
Yep.
Okay. Yep. Good
Joan Berenger, might be Joan or Jan because he's from France.
Yawn.
Thomas Sorber, Liam McNeely, Jace Richardson from Michigan State. I remember him. Asa Newell, Nick Clifford, Cedric Howard, Hugo Gonzalez. I mean, I don't know. Like, why am I excited to watch
Hugo Gonzalez, did he go to Texas Tech?
Hugo Gonzalez actually built a train conglomerate in the 1920s. No, I'm just kidding. No, he's from Spain.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just felt like that
from
feels
Spain.
like, I don't know why that felt like someone.
No,
like,
Spanish.
Okay.
Like, why am I interested in watching the NBA draft tomorrow night if I don't know any of these players, Mason?
I don't know. You'll be watching, though.
I will be, but I don't know any, like, and I mean, I remember, and I'm a little older than you.
You didn't know, like, everyone's story at the NFL draft, but
no, but I don't watch the NFL draft. But I watched the NBA draft all through the 80s and 90s and early 2000s, and I knew all of them. Like, they were all March Madness stars. They were, or they were freshmen who were awesome, or they skipped college completely and were high school stars that we all knew. You know,
when is that going to happen again? Do you think they'll change those rules back?
I don't think so.
With all this,
you have to. It's NIL, 1 year out, right?
And all that, but like
you have to be 1 year out of high school.
But why wouldn't they change it back now? If you can get paid coming out of high school or even in high school now, right. What's stopping them from doing that? Like and changing that rule back?
I don't know. I think they're happy with that. I mean, but it's the same thing with football. Football, you have to be 2 or 3 years out of high school, right? You like 18-year-olds can't go to these, can't skip college to go to the NFL.
I think you have to be 3 years.
You have to be 3 years removed. You could be a redshirt sophomore.
Football makes a little more sense.
Don't be a football apologist, Mason.
No, just because of like the physical nature and like the development side.
But I hear that, but make an 18-year-old prove it then.
You've seen 18-year-olds and you've seen it proven that guys can come out of high school and have an impact in the NBA if they are a LeBron James or like a superstar, right?
But we also know that players could have made it in NFL, like 1 year out of college easily, and had to waste a year or two taking hits to their body, taking hits to their brains. Like we know that happened also. Like there are football players who could have gone.
Yeah, I'm sure there are. It'd be interesting. Yeah. I'm like, I don't know. That's where my brain's going right now.
But if you're going to get rid of the rule,
open it up. Just get rid of the rule.
Right, open it up to everybody.
Yeah,
right?
just let like high school kids, if a team is interested. I think some of these major sports leagues, though, they put those rules in place because they just did not want to do the work to try to recruit and scout these players.
And they also didn't want to look bad. I think they also didn't want to look bad when dozens and dozens of kids declared
when
and
an
didn't make it.
Just gets broken in half.
Right, exactly. I think there's part of that too.
There's just like, all right, we can't be responsible for this. We got to see if they can actually withstand. But it's also like the longevity of careers in the NFL.
Yeah,
like why wouldn't you want to get a superstar in if they go into college and they're amazing their freshman year? Like why wouldn't you want to get them on your team right away? And just get as much from a player as you possibly can.
Do you always root for guys from Georgetown, Texas?
Of course, yeah.
What if they went to Nebraska?
I'd still root for them personally.
Okay, yeah. All right. I was just wondering.
I would never root for Nebraska.
The reason I ask is because we have guys from Wisconsin who we root for, and I feel like we're all watching Con Kneppel and we're going to root for him. Sure. But a lot of us don't root for Tyler Hero because he declared to go to Wisconsin and then went to Kentucky. And was kind of a jerk about it.
Rubbed it wrong.
Yeah, right. It rubbed us the wrong way. Where Con Kneppel, he was always going to Duke. he did it the right way, and and we know his family. His uncle played for the Bucks, his mom played for UW Green Bay, his dad played for Wisconsin Lutheran College. They're like a family that's active in the community, that sort of thing. So
I mean, they're still they're doing good things still in the community, but that one is a different story, right?
Yeah.
Where it was like he jumped ship. The Conca-Nipple stuff, it's like he took a great deal. Like he went to a dominant program, on a good for a good number. So you can't really blame him for that. And there was no shady business that went down. But
all right, so back to the beginning of the show, Mason. You feeling good about Freddie today? Freddie Peralta on the mound you feeling good?
I mean, like you got to feel good about Freddie. I mean,
you know what I'm feeling good about?
He's going to go dominate.
You know what I'm feeling good about?
What's that?
I'm feeling good about the leadoff show today from 5 to 6:30 with Tommy TK Wirtz.
Oh, a little extra time.
Yeah, extra time.
Tommy, what are you going to do in between our show and the leadoff?
Well,
show?
remember he hosted. I know he's Packet Radio too. He is Mr. Radio today.
Usually between the show, we got about an hour of post-production, and then yesterday I went to the grocery store in between, stopped home. I do have to stop home again today because did some work at home that I got to email to myself, so I'll get back home, I'll get comfortable, meaning I did the work on my computer, desktop at home, and then...
You have a desktop?
I have I do.
He's an
why
old soul,
don't you
man.
just use why don't you just use your laptop?
It's not as efficient. It's not as
really.
No,
I do like a good desktop.
So I usually take a little bit of a break. I'm usually back by 4, somewhere around there, and then we just get after it always.
Okay, nice.
Always.
I can't wait.
What are you going to be talking about
today? I mean, we got to talk. We always talk about the game before in the first segment of the show. We're going to talk to Drew Wagner as well. 6:15 today. Austin Herdina has been on a heater. Was so close yesterday to hitting another bet. 2 legs of his parlay hit within like the first 4 innings of the game yesterday, and all he needed was the Brewers to win, and then it would have hit, and it did not. But just hit on plus 430, I think, yesterday. Like, I mean, he's riding the hot streak of the Brewers right now, and it's totally working.
I love it. I love it. Well, this is a good one to lay some on because with Peralta on the mound and just coming off of that little like weird loss yesterday. Yeah, I could see the Brewers bats getting hot today and then putting up 10 runs plus. So
Tommy, you mentioned Drew Wagner. He'll be joining Sparky today at 3:20 as well on Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's. With Chad Patrick struggling recently, is Brandon Woodruff too far off? They will talk about that as well as probably some Miz and Skeens preview talk as well.
What was Sparky's, like, he was saying something about pick up his option for next year and then just let him sit the rest of the year and rest? Was that something that Sparky proposed?
About Woodruff?
About Woodruff, yeah.
I didn't hear that.
Like give him, pay him his $20 million option and just let him rest the rest of the season.
Don't even play him this year.
He has an option next year that no one will pay him that amount of money. I don't know the amount of money off the top of my head.
I think it was 20.5 million.
He does have an option next year that they're kind of thinking, I mean, they got to mutually agree on something so that they could just keep him in the organization because no one's going to pay him what he's set to make next year.
Right. Yeah, so they might as well. We'll see how that all plays out. He's Mason Crosby. Tommy Wirtz is here. My name is Mitch Nelles, a.k.a. Thunder. You're listening to The Mason Crosby Show. You're also watching The Mason Crosby Show, presented by Verizon, the #1 network in Milwaukee. You're watching it on YouTube. You're listening on the radio or on thefanmilwaukee.com or on the free Odyssey app, AUDACY. AUDACY. Mason's Extra Points. Next.
Let's do it. Oh, hey, what's up, Mitch? Man, I was not paying attention.
This behind the scenes is so good.
Yeah. Okay, so
what's your shirt, by the way?
Oh, this is the For the Brand.
Oh, nice. Okay,
Pat McAfee action. So he sent me this after what happened. Oh, it was great because he sent me a punters are people too, and like game winner, and it was J.K. Scott, like a silhouette of him whenever he hit the towering punt against our hated Chicago Bears. I think it was in 2019. And it was, I don't know if we covered it to perfection or it was a fair catch, and it ended the game. I think the guy tried to return it. We tackled him, maybe caused havoc, and the time ran out, and we won the game. So obviously, Pat called it a game winner for J.K. Scott, and we all got shirts. And then he sent me the Packers color for the brand shirt, which is awesome.
Nice.
So a great show, ran down a lot. Obviously, Brewers are going to bounce back against the Pirates.
Yes.
We're talking about all the NBA stuff. Draft tomorrow, if you're checking that out. Wondering who the Bucks are going to take. Nick Osen jumped on at 10 o'clock, and a great friend of the show. I love his takes. I love talking about the Badgers, kind of what they're doing in NIL. And so I had some thoughts, and if y'all hadn't seen, Padres player Tatis Jr. Is suing the big league advance to try to void his deal that he signed at 17, where they gave him $2 million, and he agreed to a deal of 10% of future earnings, which for me is just insane that deal was agreed upon, but it is an agreed upon deal. I do think the lawsuit is necessary. I don't think that he should be able to avoid that deal. It's a deal that was in place. It's like retroactive, all the stuff. But I think that something like this should be a good thing to hopefully help, players, athletes for future deals to not get into a situation like this. Like this has to be something that everybody is guarding against. But at the same time, from a business side, like they were taking a chance on a guy. They gave him $2 million at age 17.
Yep.
He didn't sign his big deal until 2021.
Which is funny because his dad played in Major League Baseball.
Exactly.
So,
and as I was running it down more, I'm like, what? Like, who advised him to take this deal? Like at that age, like his parents, like he had to have his parents sign off on that. Like, so they obviously saw it as a good opportunity for them, and it's an investment deal for the other team. So
sure.
He might have been confused whenever they said it was an investment deal. It wasn't an investment deal for him. It was an investment deal for them.
Yes.
They were basically signing his rights.
But he got $2 million as a 17-year-old.
$2 million.
Good for him. I'll
and
take
again, it. $34 million, a ton of money, for the contract he signed. But I mean, he is making $340 million over those 10 years.
Yes, he is.
Or whatever that 14-year deal that he signed.
Maybe only $306 million now.
Yeah, I think $34 million. He could maybe he wouldn't miss too bad. But we were talking about ridiculous amounts of money. Side note, as I walked by something from our wine tasting the other day, are y'all more milk chocolate or dark chocolate?
Dark.
Okay. Yeah. Tommy, what do you
milk.
think? Tommy's definitely a milk chocolate.
Tommy is so milk.
I don't even know why I asked.
What up, Cudahy?
Dumb question.
God.
It has to be like, does it have to be filled like caramel filled?
What?
The fattest chocolate you can think of. That's what I like.
Palates can be refined?
Yes.
That doesn't make any sense.
That doesn't make any sense. All right. Well, hey, really appreciate everybody joining on. If you missed it, you can follow us on thefanmilwaukee.com. Go to the Mason Crosby Show on the free Odyssey app. Now we're on YouTube. You can see our beautiful faces every morning. Have an awesome rest of your Tuesday. Go Brewers. Get this win tonight. Don't miss the leadoff show. Tommy gets an extra half an hour. He is just running everything all over the place. So really appreciate you joining on this morning, 9 to 11, the Mason Crosby Show on the Fan Milwaukee.